And good afternoon. How are you doing today? Gonna take a quick smudge break here. Who we got? We got G. How you doing? Turamir. Good to see ya. Excellent. And we have Trey, the High Empath channel. Good to see ya. And anybody? F Kitty. B Freeman. Awesome. Full house today. Good stuff. Look within. Good to see ya. And Chloe is pooping. She says she can't make it. Alright, so gonna take a quick smudge break here and give a brief of what we're gonna do. It gets rather complex. It can get. We'll see how it goes. We're gonna discuss consciousness from a particle of light to a dust particle to a animal to a human to a group of humans, to our entire society, to the planet, our solar system. There are other things to look at too. Entities like spirits, like Archon, angels. Seraphim, all the way up to God. I'm going to take a moment and write some of those down. Doing good, Turamir. So we're going to start off with light. I'm going to write these down. Dust. To what's after dust? Let's go to animals or amoeba. That's a consciousness level that's of great interest to me. To animals, humans, I didn't realize how many separations or links of consciousness really there are. We look at them as individual, So let's go from humans to spirits. Here's our list so far. The big screen, you guys. Hopefully the music's still playing in the background. Okay. There we go. Light, dust, amoeba, animals, humans, spirits. We assign levels to these things, but when we look at them, they may not have the level of conscious or just a different consciousness. From spirits, let's go right up to archons. Angels. Let's see, let's put in egregores. Or social spirits. Human consciousness, would that be planetary human consciousness? Hi Loretta, good to see you. Let's go to planet consciousness. Okay. From planet we go to solar system. A lot of these will be similar. I don't think we need to go much further than solar system to God, do we? Okay. There's our list. Things we can separate and possibly come up with consciousness levels and attributes for them. First of all, define consciousness. So, consciousness, by the dictionary, is the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. The awareness or perception of something by a person, plural, noun, consciousnesses. So, the fact of awareness and the world. So a lot of that has to do with just awareness. Fauna consciousness, like nature, Mother Nature. Now, okay, Trey, would that be included in animals? I did put animals in there. It's animal consciousness. So, see if you guys think there's any missing. Any types of consciousness, levels of consciousness, from light right up to God. Hi, Peter. Good to see you. Give you guys a minute for that. If I had a better way to present that. I need 2 cameras is what I need. That'll be good. Yeah. So that would be correct. If that exists, if an animal consciousness, a group animal consciousness, it's a good. We're discussing consciousness, Peter. So, an animal group consciousness. We humans have a link. That would go into like the egregor section of it as well. Because if you're talking about a group consciousness, you're talking about creating an egregor or a entity. Well, that is true. That is true, Loretta. But do you believe that a particle of light, a human, and God have the same level of consciousness? Do we perceive everything in the same way? Don't think so. So that's what we're here to discuss. Because at the base of consciousness is awareness. Now, it doesn't even say that consciousness needs to interact with its environment. Let's look back at the definition here. State of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. The awareness or perception of something by a person. The fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. So the mind itself can understand consciousness without even interacting. So a consciousness by itself could perceive itself as we believe it might have been in the beginning. Where we definitely do not perceive things in the same way, yeah. I'm not really sure. We don't eat light. Well, I could question that one. What does that make us really? Eaters of consciousness? Hmm. Well, before there was light, there was consciousness, I believe. Many of the ancient texts do say that. Consciousness was the one of the first things. Now that can be debated back and forth. Light, in my perception, is energy, which makes up all reality. So in essence, we do eat light, Loretta. I'm a being, in my perception, made of light particles that come together to make atoms, and particles, dust. Hi, the real DJ. Good to see you. So over here I have a picture of a photon. That's a photon there. So that is light. Now, what level of consciousness do you think you would apply to light? There is consciousness in all things, apparently. We do not eat light for sure because we are made of light. Well, electrons, really. Even a particle of light here is made of two electrons, the positive and the negative. But it's a representation that we see electrons much more elusive. So what level of consciousness would you give light? We do survive on the corpses of other creatures. Even our planet is a corpse. So does our consciousness survive by absorbing other consciousness? That is possible, Loretta. Now, do we transmute that consciousness? Or does that consciousness maintain its own cohesion? If every particle of light is conscious, has a consciousness, an awareness, does it, I think they survive a conscious. Okay. So when we eat something, does that energy become part of us, or does it go through us? It's good to see you, DJ. Light seems to go through me, then change elementals, but I don't communicate mentally. See, this is a fundamental question, If everything is made of energy, our consciousness is a field of energy that's around us. It's not really in our bodies, is it? Well, part of it is, but we interpret it through the body. Hi, Shadow and Light. We're just on an absorbing, yeah. Yeah, this is a learning experience. It's for me as well. I bring up these subjects, work right through them in my mind with your help. Hey, off the hook. And that's the process. So right now I'm you guys brought up a very good point that I hadn't thought of. So I'm going to have to put some time into that. Hi, London man. So does the light that we consume, Peter doesn't think it gets absorbed through us. Which is an interesting, I like that opinion. So when we eat something, we gain material sustenance from it. Now that material substance is made of light. Consciousness at its core, I guess. Is the here's a good question. Is the energy of our soul, the field that surrounds us, is that energy constantly recycled? Or does it exchange for new energies? This would lead us into the spiritual world as well. If the spiritual world has to cycle through new energies all the time, that would require some type of a feeding. I always picture, and I'll tell you why I was twisting my finger around like that, because when I envision the soul or the field that presents the soul, I always think of a torus field. So the rotating torus field. Yeah, possibly an exchange of energy. I keep seeing reference to God is a eater of souls or whatever. Oh. Are we food for God? Are we food for the gods? That's a very good question. Are we raised up in vibration so that we can be consumed by the Almighty, sustaining it? If we have to feed off the energy of others, would not God also do the same? When I see the planets, they light back to me, the elementals, firmament, or something, they communicate without saying anything. It changes firmament little by little, elements, okay, to me. They do project energy. The planets, they have an energy field that interacts with us. Energy accumulation and absorption. Hi, Scotty boy. They say divinity is the food of the gods. Now you guys got me on to another thought. You're terrible. See, in a subatomic level, we are not really here, but energy. I kind of disagree with that. Then consciousness is energy and energy is consciousness, right? I agree with that. I don't agree with the simulation theory. Even in a simulation, the simulation would be real. It is a real simulation. So either way, if we are here and not a simulation or a simulation, we still exist. I also think we absorb light in winter. Many of us get depressed and lethargic because of lack of sunlight. Yeah. Would there be a way to cleanse the unfit or unclean light energies? Howdy, Max. I knew it. I wasn't worried. Okay. Cleanse the energy. See, now I think, well, when we consume food, if we bless it, we know that it has a better benefit for us. So, I suppose that the energy would be augmented or transmuted into a higher state by going through a being that was in a higher state of vibration or mood. False God, yes, but the source would have no need, right? Since it is the center of all things. Get there. It's creepy, like a priest in a Satan glider or something. Okay. No, does God need to feed? Is he feeding on himself? We absolutely exist, yeah. I was looking for that ghost before. Okay. We exist. We are conscious. Yeah. Yeah. Whether it's a simulation or not, we still exist. But is that what it is? That's an interesting concept. It was suggested that we don't exist. I don't think that's even what that means. We exist in our perceptions matter. Pun may be intended. Yeah. I should put more context, but I'm glad you got what I was saying. No problem. I do give people some credit that they have some intelligence behind what they're saying. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Does the Creator, feed on himself? Working on your crotchet projects? Okay. Crotcheters. It's very interesting. Light itself, in order to sustain itself, this light particle will eventually slow down and lose speed. In order for it to sustain its power, it heat as well. It has other particles, other energies, and what that does is it charges up the front particle, the white particle here at the front. It gets charged up. Then what happens is it flips, and the back comes up to the front. So even light does feed. Does light die? Possibly. Light may slow down to such an extent that it may cease to exist and may become something like this. Now, this is an exploded piece of light that was put through a venturi, and it was separated into its constituents. The dark matter, which ends up in small black balls, and the white matter, which showers like radiation. Now, they all do come back together. They reform. But I think they are in a diminished form. Shadow and light, I think maybe I need some D vitamins, yeah. Now, I'm not we have to understand what we think God is, too, to understand if God feeds. We're kind of skipping over a whole bunch, but that's okay. We're kind of going from light to God, which is appropriate, really. Yeah, light transmutes. It does. It seems, by the analysis, that all forms, all consciousness, all beings must at least process or transmute energy, taking some energy from another. And I do believe that exists with God, because I believe that God is expanding. I believe that God is constantly learning. I don't think God is complete. If God was complete, I don't think there would be a need for us. Hi, Pamela Jean. I got a blister on my thumb. Too much crotcheting, eh? So I don't know, can we say that we've established that all things feed? Even God? And I wonder, is God feeding on us? Are we being raised up to a level see, what's this? Foundations differ, i.e., why do men call that spent sun Mars? Different understanding of lights, and planets. I believe any sun, any planet has the ability to become a sun. If it becomes the central figure of a solar system, it would become a sun. They claim that Saturn was their sun, so it at one time was the biggest body, or the center of our universe, or our solar system, however that works. Then Jupiter, and now the current sun. So, who's ever biggest, I guess. And is that a flipping of light? Is that mass just analogous to the flipping of light? Are planets feeding and becoming flipped? I concur, God's learn, and we are, so to speak, or the experiments to prove the hypothesis. Are we a farm? Are we on a farm? Are all things being evolved to feed the higher spirits or higher entities? I like that. Gods learn, and we are the teachers, so to speak. We are the emanations of God. Everything, like we all concur that God is omniscient, so everything that exists is a part of God. That energy from the beginning, the primordial beginning. God must learn and enjoy learning. I agree. We all feed on something. We looked outside our universe in remote viewing. And what we saw was other universes. The universe is kind of a term we can't really use there. It's like our entity, our universal entity, our consciousness seems to be separate from even other consciousnesses. So, are the gods feeding on each other? I think expanding everything and every being is always using and transmuting energy, whether light or other sources. I agree with that. So for base foundation, when the whales know men are siphoning what men call Mars, you see recycling patterns. Yeah, remote viewing is a lot of fun, Shadow and Light. Got some awesome books. I find it funny, and Thelma 93 is a significant number. My sun is 93 million miles away. So all things feed, even God. Is that true? And if God feeds, who does God feed off? What do they eat? In the as above? And are they questioning things? They're, as we say, as below do. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the universe. Imagine you are the universe, or viewing it. What do you see? Try and stay objective. Don't let your own mind interfere with what you're seeing. So give me the first flashes that happen when you close your eyes. I saw an emanation coming out in waves. And two balls in the center. Keep your eyes closed and look outside. Try and view the surroundings. Tell me what you see. Okay. And jellyfish. I don't know if that's any real information or not. Take another look. Try and look outside of all the consciousness that we're aware of. Are we aware of more consciousness? Are we aware of separate consciousness? Keep getting fishing references. Fish and water. Let's see what you guys got. Ice cream. If God feeds off negative energy, this planet is a buffet. The Christian God, apparently feeds on praise and worship. A luge buffet. Trying to block the images we've been taught. I only see waves. That's good. Look within. I think many saw that. Ice cream. Is it striped ice cream? A rainbow emanating, says the high empath. On Lucius. A rainbow in the dark. A rainbow emanating in the dark. Darkness and a spinning within a vortex. Separate consciousness sounds great to me. I see wave after wave rolling in. I see what I think the inside of the sun might look like. Want to land man's airplanes? Sat tail lights. Crystal matrix light grid. Very lightweight and loose framework. There are fake gods. I believe that, Pamela G. Yahweh would be one of them. They're just beings. Off the Hook says, if it swells, ride it. Okay. Crystal matrix, light grid. Okay, so we all saw very similar things. See, if we're inside God, that would mean God's eating himself, unless he's taking sustenance from outside. I'm going to open up the floor, let Paul come up. Kind of need some time to contemplate that. Wasn't going to make this a long show, but now, what was that image? Is that the image of soul or the image of man, the physical man? Just had a lot of spinning vortices. Yeah. Yeah, we often look at things and we see the torus field in a lot of things, because that's the only explanation that our minds can come up with. We're limited by our perceptions, what we've learned, the things that we've seen. It's very difficult for the human mind to come up with new things. The third one? This one? That's light. That's light. That is our universe, the electrical connections of our universe. And above that, I have what they claim to be the creation of the universe from beginning to now, which I just interpret in different ways. I see it as coming out of a torus field. We'll be going back in eventually. That one, the light? Yeah, that's light. I base a lot of what I know and think on that image there of light, because it has every element in it. Hi, Paula.
Hi, Max.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Turn you down a bit.
No. Yeah, so what I seen was like a pulsing rainbow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a circular rainbow. It was like AC. But it was pulsing.
Okay. Yeah, I saw an emanating. It was almost I wouldn't call it a rainbow because it didn't have color. It was light and dark. So you probably saw a little more detail. That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw colors for sure.
You see yourself as a refractory. I see the lights. They reflect back, but there's no holding that place. Keeps fermenting. Okay. The universe with the red and black. Third one up. You lost me there. Mine was just black and white waves as well. Slightly curved, yeah. As if emanating from a source. Yeah, that's what I saw. Pulsing is just fancy word for Gotcha, Scotty boy. Yeah, so the third one there, that is light. And it has different components that are a little hard to see because it was taken with this was done with CMOS. So it does have the two light and dark, but it also has a disc in the middle, and it has a pressure wave up the front. You can see the difference. See how it's lighter up front and darker in the back? That's because there's energy being consumed by this particle here, the male essence of light. The dark is the female. This is an odd, this is even. If you break it up, you'll find that when they break apart, there's around 1,800 of these and around 1,800 of black particles, becoming odd and even numbers. That's how the checkerboard on the Masonic checkerboard works as well. They understand the properties of light as well. The one above that, oh, okay. That one is the interconnection of the Birkeland currents in the universe that mirror pretty much a neural net. So if you look at the Birkeland currents compared to a neural net of our brain, it's very similar with nodes, connections, many connections. That's what you saw. Okay, excellent. That's what you saw when you closed your eyes. Cool. That would be the internal structures. No, the numbers are odd and even. This is, you can think of it, here's even Eve, here's odd Adam. That's why there's Adam and Eve, black and white, male, female. Yeah, Epstein list. We're not, I'm not going there, Pamela Jean. That's a total distraction. That was just made, they're trying to bump that up so that they can get Trump with it. That's the only purpose. If it doesn't fly that way, they're going to drop it. So, nothing to worry about there. It's just a total distraction. You've seen the grid many times. Might be blood vessels in your eyelids. There are a lot of mirrors for that structure, from the micro to the macro. Well, we know that, Pamela Jean. Someone does need to go to jail, but nobody we care about will go to jail. Nobody we want to go to jail is going to go to jail. Let's see here. So yeah, the numbers are not exactly the same. This is an odd number. Here, this is an even number. That might have been how creation started. If we go back to the creation story of many cultures, we often end up with fire and ice, like in the Nordic, light and dark in the Christian. When light and dark join, that's the creation point. So, was there a disturbance? I don't know if the introduction of the odd atom in a stable universe of even Eve existed. But that's kind of one of the things that I postulate, is that it was a disturbance of thought, which we can call sound because it comes with waves as well. We have thought waves, sound waves. They're all waves, emanations. So was the first thought what created material, light, energy? I don't know, but it would be a good possibility.
Yes, I think so. The first thought, the first idea. Yes.
A brain part, right? That's one way to think of it, Scotty. Oh yeah. The Vedas say that the first thought was desire. Now, desire doesn't have to be, what Scotty's going to say. There can be desire for other, or desire for many things. But what would God desire?
To not be alone.
Yeah. I guess that's why we call him the divine, the divided. The first thought, the I, the ego, yeah. Well, awareness, as we know, consciousness is awareness. So awareness of self, and that could be the first thought. You held your tongue, did you, Scotty boy? I desire freedom. Fire and ice there, Trey. Yeah. So I did want to discuss other types of consciousness, though, because this is really interesting to me. Now, if and this comes down to the fundamentals too, like even the higher levels of consciousness, say we have a list here of consciousnesses, okay? Now, those consciousnesses are different. Are there superior consciousness? Or does it come with a trade-off? You get one level of consciousness diminished for an expanded other consciousness. Like there is a universal consciousness that we have access to, but that's limited. Now, do things on a lower order have more access to that universal consciousness, or things on a higher level? We would think certainly do. But when you get into a level of consciousness where it's a universal consciousness, are you really separate? Do you really have your own consciousness? Like we have amoebas and creatures that live inside us that do impart some of our consciousness. Are we the same to God? Does our consciousness transcend and add to that consciousness? Are we merely neurons in God's brain?
I
Do I
say we're
believe in that?
helping each other become conscious
Hmm.
because of the 100th monkey theory. I don't believe it's a theory. I believe it's a fact.
Now, there's a good question, Pamela Jean. Do you believe mass conscious rules? Well, when we look in ourselves, the microconscious rules in some ways. It rules our mood. Our gut biome rules our mood. There's biology throughout our bodies that has effect on our mood. Now, our state of mind can set up conditions for those things to either be promoted, the negative ones, or promoted, the positive ones, by the environment that we put them in, the mental environment, which is 80% of all disease and well-being.
I agree.
It is a tough. You missed a C. You spelt it wrong. I had to check before I came on there, Scotty boy. Yeah, there you go. That's the right spelling. What then are those who are trying to destroy us? Maybe they're the bad bacteria. The first time someone sees the evil eye, watching them is an interesting experience. I hope nobody sees the evil eye. It's a book to spell it, right? Yeah, the SC part is kind of confusing. Hi, Dolly. See 17 lovely halos. Nice. Trying to stick us in a light box. Diamonds. Testing us, right? Putting us to the fire. So you get the purest metal. I don't know if it
Yes.
if the analogy works with us. Some people think it does.
I say it does. Fire purifies, it refines, makes it stronger. Yeah. It's even what some would call the fire baptism.
So does God go through fire as well?
As we do, yes, feels it
So,
through
but
us.
is that the internal battle? What's the
I
external
think
battle for God?
I only
Or does God
I
only
used to
have an internal battle?
I think it's internal for just God, for creator source. Yeah, it's internal.
Hmm.
Because
See, now
you're
that's
omnipotent.
limiting. That's very limiting then, because there's no external stimuli to promote or create. Possibly.
Well, as within, so without, though. So whatever that looks like for,
Hmm.
creator. Just like with us, as we learn, we share, and then, it goes from within to without. But I think God created people to learn from because he didn't know what pain was. He didn't know what anguish was. And he's learning from us. He, she, it, whatever, learning from us.
Maybe we just need clean food. Hmm. Well, like we were discussing before you came here, because you're late to class, yes, we bless our food, and that cleans it, that purifies it, and makes it better for us, just by the thought. So purifying through thought is a thing, so God could be purifying himself solely and exclusively internally, I suppose. Like in meditation. Is God in constant meditation? State of
I,
constant meditation? Or is
I
he in a
think
state
so.
of constant turmoil with us fighting and battling back and forth between good and evil? Quality of our food declining, yeah. Reservations in the cosmos for some boys, okay? Love what fire can do. Steels and tempers. God is pure awareness without a second. God has no parts. You guys took this to an interesting conversation. So God is self-emanating and alone still, because he can only do
Well,
self-reflection.
well, since we were created, how could he still be alone, though?
But we're just part of him. I'm being devil's advocate a bit. So.
Well, in a comedic way, I like to say that God is a lot like Sybil. Many different personalities, identities.
Probably more than one goal in depleting our topsoil. Okay. God doesn't do anything because pure awareness is just pure nothing else. So there is nothing to do and no one to do it. I kind of agree with that, beloved. Is just being aware, is that growth? Can you grow through just being aware? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Without
so.
it, but there's no external stimuli. See, when we go back to the consciousness, a state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. So if nothing surrounds God, is God aware? Awake?
Again, I say yes. I mean, you can't. If you're aware, awake, anything you're aware or awake of is going to emanate from you.
Okay, but we're also discussing levels of consciousness. Now, that state
Mm.
could, in some respects, be considered even less level of consciousness than we possess, because it's not self-procreating, not self-creating. We're creating. It's kind of a mind fuck, but
Yeah, yeah. But as we think, we speak it, and as we think and speak it, we create it.
most enlightened humans go through aloneness and isolation, from what I've learned.
Yeah.
I believe God is watching, but does not interfere. I got dozens of friends. The fun never. It's okay. Shadows we go through, aloneness because we are alone. Hi, Koji. Too much time on my hands? Okay. Wait till you find out you are nothing and God is everything. Come on up, Koji. Come on up and enlighten us. This is a discussion, so we're looking at all sides of the conversation. Even the ones we don't like. I don't necessarily prescribe to the thoughts I'm posing. They're just for consumption and consideration. So come on up and tell us what you think. The ego that seems to do nothing. When ego rises, it projects the world and takes the body to be itself. Now, there's an interesting part of consciousness, or is are morphic fields even consciousness? Some entirely different subject, but it does go back to God and creation and the beginning of life. Morphic fields are the belief that the bodies, the emanations of life, exist in a field, and that we are emanating that field ourselves, and that's how we become this form. And that progresses with us through our lifetimes as we evolve.
Hello.
So hey, Koji, how you doing? So do you think God evolves? Do you think God experiences external stimuli? Do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
I believe that God, we are the God itself, and everything is God. So we feel, we evolve, right? We create, we destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I never really believed it until I awakened and felt it, right?
You experienced oneness.
Yeah, the oneness.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was agnostic my whole life, and once you awake, it just, you feel that connection, like you know that you are that connection, that divine spark.
Okay. Yeah, I'm postulating the idea that once you expand your consciousness to a point where you experience all, are you really experiencing a self at that point?
Yes, but experiencing the self, yeah. It's like, I believe, like, where, in my experience, it's like God is getting to know itself through interacting with itself.
God was divided, right? That's God divided himself. We call him the divine. So he made himself into two. So are those consciousnesses separate, or are they still one conscious?
I want to say they're separate. It's like, trying to get a good example. It's like the ocean, right? You have the mass ocean, and the ocean creates the waves, and it creates the foam. It all comes from the ocean, but they're all one and the same thing. And
takes me back to does God feed too? Does God need to expand? God need to feed like we do in order for us to emanate and raise our vibration? We feed. It seems like all things do, even down to light. I don't know if you were here for that part of the discussion.
No.
But it seems that all things feed. All emanations need to do that. And we're discussing too how would that be possible? Or, like a lot of people believe that God is self-emanating. It could be, but it's just to show like ball lightning does not continue forever. It diminishes as well, unless it's fed extra energy. Now, is that the same with God? I don't know. That's the
Not
question.
sure.
Feel like your full consciousness is being blocked. Yeah. Yeah, the feeling of oneness comes with us, comes with a limited comprehension, because we can only perceive so much at a time.
Yeah.
So our perception of what God perceives is so minuscule. When we even experience the oneness, we still have to filter it through our brains, and it just limits what we can see and experience of it. And that's what I'm kind of postulating. Do you kind of lose? Because if we feed, that shows that we're trying to sustain a consciousnness in some type of a limited factor, possibly. That's a way to look at it, is that we, like a particle of light, will slow down unless it runs into enough energy fields that it can make the flip and speed up again, or sustain its speed.
I feel like
The
we're
weird
in the state of growing and evolving to be able to handle that, to be able to handle the truth of ourselves, to handle the truth of what we call God. But we haven't reached that point yet. And as we consciously evolve, the vibration changes too. Like, I guess thoughts matter, right? Vibration and the collective consciousness creates what we call this reality. And I believe as we constantly evolve and be more moral and good character, we'll be able to learn how to manipulate, our words, our thoughts into the physical, and be able to handle that as God wants us to.
I was thinking integration was the word that came to mind. As energy comes in, we integrate it, and then it goes into that torus field and feeds it, because like you said, without something else to feed it, it doesn't move really. It moves faster when more things collide with it.
Yeah. So more friction equals growth, in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
But you still have to run into that friction, which we could consider inside or outside. Is God's friction created only from within or from without? Goes into a multiverse of gods.
Yeah.
Or emanations.
Yes.
Yeah, the micro and macrocosm. I used to really think about that, the macro and microcosm, and I feel like everything is a whole, like rather it's within or without, it's all one thing, right? Inside of it, out of it, and out of us, it's all one whole. There's no separation of the inner and the outer. When you really get to it, down into it.
Yeah, I'm seeing the words. I just looked them up recently again online too. When you see the inner as the outer and the outer as the inner, then you will see God.
Yeah.
Yes.
because we tend to separate ourselves, right, from nature, from the universe, and we look at the universe and nature as God, right? And why do we separate ourselves from that? Because we have a higher consciousness, we assume.
Hmm. Well, are we more points of attention? Is a point of attention like a neuron in the net? Is it a separate point of attention? It is linked to the whole, but that separate point of attention feeding itself and sustaining itself, are we more like that?
Like the
Self-esteem?
Ouroboros, right? The snake eating itself, the tail.
Yeah, that could be a way to look at it.
It's like transmutation, where
Yes.
everything is changing. It's a cycle to evolve, right? It has to go through that self breakdown to rebuild itself into something better.
That's like torus field technology. Some believe that a torus field can sustain itself. This is the first time I'll touch on this and this, because a torus field gives more energy than it takes through the action of the vortices. The vortices allows it to put out more energy on the negative side from the positive. Somewhat self-sustaining. Now, some believe that it is self-sustaining, some believe it has to feed it to be sustained. It really comes down to, can a field self-sustain? In physics, they say energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but it can be dispersed.
Okay. I would say the more energy that goes into it, the more powerful it becomes. The stronger.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hi, James. Good to see you. Makes sense when you think of vortex physics.
Even the ego is part of us. There's nothing bad what we call.
Because we do describe God as all. Oh, he has to. Yeah. So he has to sustain himself in some way. Yeah, we're all pretty much on board with us being part of the all. Hi, Nocturnal Frequency. Good to see you.
What was...
We do know that there is no separation, but that's why I tried to introduce the points of attention. It is like a separation, but not really if you think of it as just a thought in a brain. Then it's just a collection of thoughts being one thing. Like leaves on a tree, we're part of it, but not the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say before? Kazi, if I'm saying that right?
Oh, it's Koji. You can just call me Koji.
Koji. Okay, what you were going to say something before too?
I was saying that the ego is, we tend to look at the ego as a bad thing and a separate part of us. Just like any emotions or character.
Oh, not here.
Yeah, ego not bad. Ego good.
Ego's not bad.
The ego is part of us, We just have to learn how to manage it, control it. It's not a bad thing.
Balance.
Yeah,
balance of the ego.
Get out of my head, Max. No, I'm okay with it. You can stay on.
Yeah, like, ego. Yeah.
When we look at the duality of things, like yin and yang, the dark and the light, sometimes the light can be too much and the dark can be too much, and we really do have to balance it all. Learning how to create that order out of that chaos. It's like a child, right? If there's too much order, you don't have free will. You cannot explore. You cannot jump in the mud, the mud puddle. You cannot make a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chaos or
The op-
friction is
yeah,
necessary for growth.
exactly. The
Um,
tree grows through
yeah,
through being damaged, right?
the muscles do too.
Yeah,
How old is ego? I think ego's been here from the beginning, Trey. I think ego is pretty much the first thing, the imbalance that started creation. That imbalance of positive and negative. Because without the difference, nothing would happen. Everything would be even.
Yes, yes.
Spock is God's ego, searching for your captain. Love your free will. Thinks it can manage ego. The you is the ego, yeah. We've had some lively discussions about ego.
oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. Like people, they hear the word ego and they go, "Oh, well, you're just being egotistical." No,
that's
this
fine.
is my personage. This is who I am. I'm showing you
You have
who
a
I am.
have an
It's
exaggerated, bloated ego, and someone can have a depleted and diminished ego, a negative ego
Yes,
about themselves. Which, not
yes,
always
it's
one
like
way.
it's like learning to love your flaws and the dark part of yourself. If you
Yeah,
ignore it,
yeah,
you're never gonna grow. You have to
right.
learn to
yeah.
love all aspects of yourself in order to
Yes,
fully integrate and heal and tap into your unlimited potential. If you ignore that side of yourself, what happens?
mhm, exactly. You'll wither away. And also, I don't know if anyone knows this. I just recently realized it in research I was doing. The ego is in the heart, and the heart is your face. So when it's balanced, you're putting your best face forward. You know.
Interesting interpretation. I like it.
Yes. And where light and dark is concerned, I wanted to say, you can be blinded by the light or you can be afraid of the dark, but where's the balance there, you know?
So, do you think our egos are expressed in our face and how it grows,
Yes.
or
Yes,
how
it
we
is.
express it?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Okay.
our ego helps us as a self-reflection,
Yeah.
right? To look at ourselves and see
I,
what we need to work on and grow.
I often see that in people I meet. Um, I live in a city with a lot of damaged people, and after experiencing oneness, you can connect with their ego and kind of feel their pain and see where it comes from and how it expresses. I find that to be true.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a really good discussion
it's a
about
great stuff.
ego.
I love it. Yeah, I'm glad I made it.
Um, there's a lot of people out there trying to kill, murder, slaughter their egos. They're attacking their hearts.
Yeah, it's like the dragon. Usually, the dragon protects the treasure in the cave. You don't want to slay the dragon. You want to befriend it. You can befriend the dragon, that ego.
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that song. And it's also Draco, which is where the Northern Star is. I connect it to, as above, so below, as below, so above. As within, so without, as without, so within.
But I get what you mean, beloved. Like, we don't have an ego. Like, that's an identity. A lot of things we create identity to
Hmm.
explain stuff, but it helps.
Yeah,
It's just,
we even kind of link the ego to the soul, and the soul growth, right? I even link that to the Taurus field. I believe our
Yes.
field, our egoic field, comes in the 12th house, and the 12th house is the 12th house of the in 12 degrees, just like as above the zodiac has 12 fields in a Taurus field. I think our soul is the same. So as we evolve our soul and our ego at the same time, sorry, they evolve at the same time. So control and balance over the ego will balance out the meridians of the Taurus field,
Yeah,
bringing us to a higher level.
I would agree. So these last couple of years, I kind of experienced that a lot. A lot of humbling experiences with my ego, humiliation. It, yeah, it
Yeah,
brought a lot back.
many people achieve enlightenment through many ways. For me, it was going through the seven vices and virtues, um,
Yes,
just pounding those into my brain, into every action, patience throughout all. I tell you, patience was the one of the keys. Finding
Yes.
patience in all things, um, and just going through the seven vices and virtues took about 6 months, I'd say, and then one day it just popped,
that
and
was the thing for me. It's the vices and virtues. When in 2021,
mm,
when I went on my spiritual journey, I was learning about commandments, sin, and the virtues, how to be a better person. It's not to be a perfect person, but to be a better person. To be perfect is to be completed, to be limited, but to be
yeah,
better is infinite.
as good as you can be, at that
Yeah.
moment,
Yes. It's
because we
be
can
the
always
best you can.
improve.
Always. Also, how to train your dragon. Back to the dragon thing. Befriend the dragon and then train it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting you went through the same uh, type of thing. I imagine through all teachings it would be similar. Ego
Yeah.
and soul are the same thing. The soul, as ego thinks of it, as ego. The true soul is who we really are. God, pure awareness.
Yeah.
The books of various alleged races or universe, yet people of Earth have seldom heard of such compendiums. No, that's right, Scotty boy. No such thing as a perfect person. Wouldn't they just ascend into a puff of smoke? Maybe they would just, what was that? There was a movie like that where this guy just became light. And some people think we can
Um,
achieve something like that,
I
yes.
believe so
just
too. Yeah.
becoming a pure light emanation.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, that doesn't mean you stop growing and that you're done. You still keep growing even from
Now,
there.
even if you became like one with the oneness, you'd still be growing because we believe the
Yeah.
oneness is growing and evolving.
Yes.
It would just be such a level of consciousness and awareness. It's inconceivable, really, to our limited brains. We can experience parts of it, like we said before, but having to go through the thoughts without it being uh, ethereal, I guess, would be a good way to describe it. Or all. I struggle with that thought of the thought of that level of consciousness. That's how you want to get out, turn to light. Powder, yeah, that was the movie.
Yes.
Become pure energy.
Powder. Yes.
I think they call it the Atma, pure energy. It begins with the
Mhm.
physical, and then the etheric, then the astral, the mental, then the causal, and the bodhi, and then the Atma.
Do you make content on your channel?
A little bit, but not really.
Yeah, you just started, really.
Yeah,
You
on
did your
YouTube I just
first
started.
live. Yeah, he
Yeah,
just did his
TikTok.
first live on YouTube. Yeah, put
Will
your
you
channel
please
in
send
the
them?
chat um, for
I
On
people.
can't go
YouTube.
grab it right now. Could you send me his channel, Max?
Or
Yeah,
if anybody can find it.
I can do
Um,
it.
I okay. I always have a hard
Put
time
it in
finding
the
people's
chat.
channels.
put it in back chat here so I can get a hold of it?
My
Pretty
YouTube, I got
please.
it. I don't know if you were talking about me though.
Yeah, because I like what you're saying.
No, thank you. I like what you guys are saying too.
I resonate with it.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I kind of enjoy. I say this human experience right now, you guys. I believe that this is an opportunity to enjoy this human experience because once we have that power, become one again, you know, it's there's a lot to do with and use, and maybe being limited is pretty fun. You know, it challenges us. It definitely puts up a great challenge.
Yes, exactly. We're definitely here to learn how to enjoy this. You
Mhm.
could even call it an emanation, some call it.
Yeah.
This life. My birth chart information keeps telling me you're here to enjoy your life. Find balance between the physicality of the world and the spiritual. Because, you know, if you're off balance either way, then you're in trouble. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to find that
Oh,
balance.
yeah, that's beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, because the only time I feel alive is when I'm talking about the spiritual things.
Me too.
But even too much of a good thing can be a bad thing,
So good.
you know? And this
Sorry, guys.
world is just crazy.
You okay?
Yeah, I had a coughing fit. I ate
Oh no.
I had a bite of a muffin, but it was really dry for some reason. I just started choking on it.
Oh
Well,
no.
don't do that no more. No choking allowed.
Yeah, that feeling of oneness lasted like on a higher level until I kind of just almost settled into it, where it's like normal. Took about a month, and that feeling of oneness kind of became a normal feeling part of me. And I think that's what happens is we'll experience other I guess you'd call I like to call them level ups,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
other
me too.
enlightenments. You know, I don't think enlightenment is ever a finished process
I don't think so
until you're
either.
basically at the level of oneness. There was a good comment brought up by Scotty Boy earlier that it seems like we have limits, and those limits create the friction that we need to grow, but we're still limited. It's kind of like again a balancing out of things in the universe,
And each of this
right?
leveling up,
Thank,
as we level up and
go ahead.
grow, is it's almost like a purification that we're going through, right? To go back to our original, right? I would say
Yes.
to who we always were from the before the beginning. Uh,
Yes. Yes. And the higher
and
self also is training the lower self.
mm,
Is another thing I keep running into in my birth chart information.
Yeah, yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that. If God,
yeah.
you know, we can't really separate God from anything, so he is self-emanating, self-learning, self-growing through his actions, through us, through the planetary consciousness. That's one that's really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
you know, we know that well, I believe planets evolve us as well. Um, that's the ancients say that the gods changed man, and the gods in are the planets. I always like to think of their level of consciousness. Are they acting on their own? Are they under the guidance of God and only allowed to carry forth God's orders. They have memory. We can prove that the earth has memory.
Yeah, the water has memory, the crystals carry.
It's the magnetic field around our planet contains memory of the past and the present in a constant updating system where it regenerates the memory of each moment through the magnetic fields to every particle, every planet. And that field also is recorded outside as well because it emanates.
Well, that's
So
also
that's
the
how-
Akashic records.
Yes, you could almost,
Yes.
it's part of God as well. So the fields, like, they don't know exactly how fast magnetic fields travel. Some estimations are 10,000 times faster than light. I don't know what the speed is, or if there even is a speed, if it's not just an interaction or disturbance in a field at a distance. Yeah.
Where everything's connected.
Yeah, every field interacts or could, interact in that fashion, or it could interact in a fashion where it just emanates there, self-creating. They don't know which, because it is so fast. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
There's
there's
some,
so much going on. Yeah.
There's some questions in the comment.
Oh yeah, it was planetary consciousness we
Yeah.
were talking about. Dr. Bruce Lipton, I've heard him.
Yes.
We adapt. Adopt or adapt?
Adapt.
We're gonna do some adopting.
Let's
I
see,
think,
where were the questions?
I think Shadow had
Oh,
one.
okay.
Shadow Light.
Feed in the AI overlay and some egregores that drain us. Yeah. Egregores is a very interesting subject.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness of a collective,
Yeah.
or planet, or God that's created. Do the gods need our love and affection, or our luge, or do they need energy from us to sustain themselves? Some people believe they do. So there would be the feeding process,
But I think it's like a give and take. It's like, we give, it receives, and then gives it back again. Like when a man gives life to a woman and she gives it back again in creating a baby.
I think like some of these gods or all kind that feed on us or energy loose, they have lost a lot of touch with who they were, who they are, and when they forgot who they are, they lost. They kind of disconnected themselves from what you call source. But in actuality, they aren't disconnected. It's just they believe it. They lost that because they believe that they aren't connected anymore.
Yeah, because what you believe, you receive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so true because I used to be agnostic my whole life, and in 2021 when I opened my mind even more further to that anything was possible, literally everything just started happening. Synchronicity, the magic, remembering things, awakening, the enlightenment. I thought I had to reach an enlightenment. I thought I had to sacrifice something. In a way, you do have to sacrifice like your old self to get that enlightenment. Enlightenment is just to see yourself. Like there's nothing you're supposed to gain. It's a realization of yourself.
Yes. It's like
again, it goes back to more awareness. I think it's an expansion of awareness back to
Yeah.
consciousness, the definition.
Mhm.
Did you hear what I said? It's like a game of
No,
hide and seek and peekaboo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pretty much that's what it was like for me.
Yes. Yep. Hide and seek and peekaboo. That's what we're playing right now. Peekaboo, I see you.
Yeah.
Slash me in you. And you in me.
Mhm.
talking about the energy they feed off. I do not wake up dehydrated for no reason. Somebody's having a sleep attack.
Yeah, if you're having sleep attacks, Jen Fisher says, tell the entities that you do not have permission and say no. And it's in
You can
my
also
chart
do
information to learn to say no as well.
yeah, you can also do a cleansing of your house. I salt the corners of my house with the intention of clearing it out. That works pretty well too. Max is over here beside.
My husband got me these huge chunks of pink salt. The jar was broken at his last job, and so they wanted him to just throw it away. So when he brought that home, I was like, well, I know exactly where these are going in every single corner of this house.
Yeah, make a crystal network for yourself. Yeah, good idea.
That's what I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Max is real. Yes, I believe in Max too.
Yes, Max is real. ISRAEL, but ISREAL. Fun with words, yes.
Yeah, put boundaries and protection in place.
Yes.
What do you guys think of channeling in this whole consciousness thing?
Well, aren't we kind of channeling when we're researching, meditating, pretty much doing anything, and that's how we find each other and we tune into each other. Yeah.
I believe we're constantly
Now,
channeling.
is that working the internal record? Because you have an internal record of everything. You can even communicate with the record that's within. So is channeling just internal work? Or is it an outside entity inhabiting it?
I think channeling, it could be both, but I think channeling is also mainly it's just being able to listen to yourself, to actually listen to your consciousness and follow your heart, listen to your heart, and the mind and the heart becoming one. And
Yeah.
And
I'm
some would even
I'm not a fan
say
of channeling, but say that again, Paula?
some would call it the marriage of the heart and mind.
It's like your higher self, right? What is when I talk to myself in my mind, I talk to my higher self. Like I try to find that better version of myself that wants to do better, that guides me right into the right path instead of doing wrong.
Yeah.
Or focusing on negative or the vices, right? Instead of focusing on vices, I focus on virtues.
There are moments in my life where I speak, and it doesn't feel like it's me speaking. I don't know if it's channeling or just I think it's more of the higher self speaking. I almost go into a state of euphoria. I don't even, at that point, I barely comprehend what I'm saying, but the words are coming out. I don't know if that's channeling or not.
That is channeling, I would say. It's almost automatic. It's like automatic, like.
Yeah, it's an automatic speech.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times you'll learn
that I'm not in control of.
Mm-hmm. It happens a lot for me too. It's kind of strange. That
Yeah,
channeling, channeling myself.
now I do think that that's from within me. I don't think that that's
Yeah.
from without. Now, some believe that it's from without, like a being that enters you. That kind of creeps me out. Um,
No, it's not like possession. Yeah, it's
well, in a way, it kind of is, isn't it? You know, if it's a being taking control and speaking through you, isn't that possession?
well, yeah, that's why I don't invite any other beings into my person, because you don't know if they're deceiving you or not. But
Yeah.
I was just
Very
kind of
true.
talking
Yeah.
about the oneness that is,
Well,
as
the
I
inner or
stand.
the higher self, for sure, you can communicate with and to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the casting out of demons, you know, or entities, is it the same? You know, like you say, I often find when I do look at the entities that are out there, many of them they are there to deceive. That's their entire and gain luge energy through fear. Seems to be a common trait throughout.
Yeah. So be fearless.
Yeah. Be
Hmm.
fearless. I believe, like, for me, um, I don't like spirits or possession, whether they're good or bad. I look at it as I have full faith and trust in everything. Like, wherever the path I'm on is leading me to where I need to be. So, like, even if somebody trying to deceive me or bad things happen, I know that these path is leading me to somewhere greater. Like, a lot of us can probably look at our past, right? We we felt like we went down the wrong path and things were over. Like, this is the end for me. This is it, you guys. But no, it wasn't. We look at the present moment, like, wow, all these rocks laid out for us perfectly to be where we at this moment. The stepping stones.
That's using the Christ within, I believe, like the intuition, which can be
Yeah.
deceived and can be misinterpreted. Um, we have to be wary,
Hmm.
very careful.
Have to have discernment,
We can,
yes.
we are easy to deceive.
Yeah,
The conscious human is very
yeah, very
easy to deceive. Um, the third eye is easy to deceive too, unfortunately.
I, I feel like for me, the best way to not be deceived is like when you're looking for information or anything, like not to try to gain anything out of it. Like, uh, it's like use your heart to. If it's out of love, you won't be deceived. Like,
I do find that
Exactly.
in the spirit world, these entities that try to feed off of luge energy, if you go at them, and I mean go at them with love energy, um, etherically hugging them, they vanish, they take off.
Yes.
Is the energy the negative
Exactly.
energy that they can't handle, that they're after, and they can't handle positive love energy. Very simple
Right.
way to get rid of them. Virtually hug them. Try to. Close your eyes and envision yourself surrounding them with light and love. And
yeah,
any
Yes.
negative
great.
entity will take off. And that's
It's so
one
true.
method of testing the spirits. The Bible tells us to test the spirits, but it doesn't really tell us how. Um, but it also tells you love is
Yeah.
the answer.
Right. But love is
So
the
it does, and
answer.
it does. Yeah, it just doesn't put the two together, unfortunately.
Well, it didn't, because there are some who get a hold of the information that is true in the Bible, and they twist it
Yeah, yeah.
and
The
they
Bible's been
misuse it.
rewritten, misconstrued. It was never
Hmm.
even meant to be put in a specific order, other than the order that it was written in, uh,
Hmm.
which isn't the order we get it. So
Of course.
And the
But
words are changed and altered and all that.
mm,
But the base information on enlightenment is still hidden in there.
yes. And I mean, I've recently even come to the conclusion that the Bible warns you about the tricks and the pitfalls. And so, what it was telling you is those tricks and pitfalls are right here in this book. Don't believe everything you read.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, because in the beginning,
Look for
both of them showed
corroborating
mixed
evidence.
fruit.
Yeah. Look for corroborating evidence and use your intuition as well. Don't rely on it exclusively, but use it. It will steer you in the right direction.
Right. I'm going to even say the four horsemen of Revelation. You know, because the horses need reins in order to either rein them in or to ride them and steer them. Yeah.
And balance in that, too.
Yes.
I was reading about Revelation, and a lot of that seven scroll or the horseman is, in a way, is us conquering ourselves, or in their sin or chakras. The seven seals, seven chakras. It's the revelation of ourselves.
Yeah.
Unveiling, and there's a marriage between oneself, the real, the bride and groom, becoming one.
Yeah, I've been working on Taurus. For me, a lot of it leads back to Taurus fields. The Taurus field divides into 12 sections, and that's only the surface level of the Taurus field. A friend of mine, Seven Serpents, is working on the construction of the soul as well, like the field of the soul. He believes it contains 4 points, 12 fields, I believe. I think he's kind of on board with that. But then there's other emanations. There's a threefold emanation from the center, and then there's other emanations that we're unaware of, trying to fill in, and that all has to do with me, like for me, with consciousness and levels of consciousness. If we can dissect the form of the soul, we can have a greater understanding of it.
Yeah. Well, also the Taurus field around us. What I think I recently learned, if I understood it correctly, is our consciousness is like Beloved Abstract is saying. It's not technically on the inside; it's on the outside. It is in that Taurus field, and that's why they wanted us to social distance.
Oh yeah, the 10 feet away.
6 to 10 feet away, yeah, so that the ripples don't run into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just say like the higher conscious, right? The high vibration, the more your field is
sure.
radius, right?
Yes, that's why they want us to
go to miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we set our consciousness outwards in some parts of remote viewing, or bilocate. I'm not sure on which it is. I think people do different things depending on their abilities.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Obvious.
It's Captain Obvious, but I'm thinking of Bob and Tom.
Yeah,
sorry.
but about words, yeah, we definitely gotta speak out loud, because words are, they say, as a sword, right? Words is a sword.
Yeah, I was watching earlier the English language. This one video was claiming is like the reverse to Aramaic and other ancient languages, which are energetically positive and that the English language is energetically negative.
But at the same time, they try to say that the English language is all languages smashed into one.
Yeah, and, why call it English? Like it's like angelish. It's the language of the angels.
Yes. Yes.
Anglish.
English.
It really
Yes.
is. If you look at the words of the most powerful thing, right, to influence, its power, its knowledge. It creates war, it creates peace, just by words alone. You can get somebody
Yes.
motivated. You can get somebody motivated to do anything, good or bad.
Yeah, it's the thoughts and the resonance too. The resonance of words affecting people.
Thoughts and or energy, emotions, emotions or energy in motion. That's what it is, or emotions.
That's why the Bible does speak truly to hold every thought captive, because not everything we think should come out of our mouths. If it's not a true thing, it should not come out of
Yeah.
our mouths. It should be deleted.
Right. If it comes from a corrupt place or impure place, we should keep it inside of ourselves, not let it out,
Yes.
or transmute it.
We're familiar with psyops too. You know, it could be that they're putting out that the English language is bastardized. Again, for that whole self-hatred thing that we've seen being pushed these days. Yet another psyop, possibly.
Absolutely, because I mean, if you can't love yourself, and that's why they're doing this is why they're doing it. If you cannot love yourself, then you don't have anything to give and can't say that you love someone else.
Exactly.
You can't give what you do not have.
People have told me that the resonance of my voice now it comes through in English is calming and soothing. I find the English language actually the most soothing and fluid languages, flowing much easier than many others. A lot of the guttural languages really shock the ear, at least to my ear, because I'm not used to them. I don't know if that has a negative effect or not. To me, it seems to be negative. And English seems to be positive. Or that could be just adaptation, you know?
But wouldn't that be considered, wouldn't that go in the friction category?
Well, there's good friction and there's bad friction, just like there's good stress and bad stress, right?
Ah, true.
Yeah.
True. Okay.
Not all friction is good.
I was mostly just being a smartass just then anyway.
I found that too. I found some voices do tweak my ear, for lack of a better term, in a bad way, you know?
Yeah.
And some of the languages too. It's just the language really that I don't like. You know, I find, you know, like German has a lot of ach.
I knew you were gonna say German.
The ach languages and that the guttural sounds that we don't use in English, you know.
Yes.
Your favorite is Spanish.
My friend
know.
Moontan speaks. What's the language that she speaks again, Mike? Help me out. Dutch. She speaks Dutch, and I think what she says is she says Dutch sounds like drunken German.
Drunken German.
Yeah.
You have trouble understanding? Yeah, the English in England is even hard to understand. The purest form of English was taught apparently in New England, near New York. They went to and that's where you get some of those odd, like Julia Childs. That's one of the iterations of that, trying to reimagine the English language from the English spoke in England. Yeah, Dutch. I speak Dutch. Yeah, we got French. Canada, we have French as one of the official languages. Very few people know it outside of Quebec. But, even the French language I don't really like. They say it's the language of love, but I don't know, I just find it makes people contort their faces in weird ways.
Sorry, I'm not ignoring. I was washing my hands. I'm still listening even when I'm not talking.
It's all right. Yeah, that's right. We have French and English as our official languages. Doesn't mean you have to learn it. They teach it in school, but how good you get at it. Like how Gomez talks to Morticia in Italian. Okay. Yeah, Italian's a pretty nice language. Aramaic, too, is very guttural. Or some of them can be, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be.
And yeah, again, it can be a Scotty boy. He got cursed out in French, no language of love. Right. Hey Steve, how you doing? Good to see you. Y'all speaking American? No, I speak English, Canadian English. Which, I don't know. Is it the language of the angels? I don't know. I think we're just about done for today. Any final thoughts, guys?
It's been great. Thanks for having me. Always
No
a
problem.
lovely discussion.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you for coming up.
Mhm.
Yes, because I'm going to sub your channel as soon as I can find the link.
I'll put it down again. Let me put it down again.
Yeah, because it gets screwed up in chat. Yeah,
Yeah, let
Thank
me
you.
open
Yeah, thanks. I'll sub
thank
back.
you.
up a YouTube channel.
And the only last thoughts that I want to
Yeah,
say
you've got a lot
is,
of good information to share.
yeah, he does.
Thank you.
My last words are be who you are, don't wear a mask, and SAVIOR self.
Beautiful.
Save yourself.
All right. Again, keep your third eye wishing. Thank you, chat, for showing up. We'll see you tonight for class. And until then, bye-bye.
Much love.